the program, we go for talk to different people. Them one get for do with Mali Daddy Langa. We are the chairman. We are the chairman Alliance for Indigenous Peoples and Local Communities for Conservation in Africa, and also just don't join at the studio Julius Sinatra Kamara. We are the executive coordinator for NCDHR. We can talk about the 25th anniversary celebration of the British SAS rescue mission against the West Side Boys in Sierra Leone. How they plan for celebrate this day? We probably go na the program. I come over to Mali Dada. You are the chairman for the Alliance for Indigenous Peoples and Local Communities for Conservation in Africa. Before we start to talk about the conference which is ongoing in Sierra Leone and the importance or reason why you guys decided to host or to hold this conference, first and foremost, let's talk about the Alliance. What the Alliance is all about.
Yeah, the Alliance for Indigenous Peoples and Local Communities for Conservation in Africa, AICA, was born out of the African Protected Areas Congress in July 2022 in Kigali. The Congress, known as APAC, brought conservation leaders from all over the world. And in Africa here, there was a group of indigenous peoples and local communities drawn from across Africa who met at that Congress. And one of the resolutions that we made was that as Africans, as indigenous peoples and local communities, we needed to work together regardless of where we come from in Africa. So there was a resolution made unanimously in Kigali to set up a Pan-African alliance of indigenous peoples and local communities working in conservation and living with natural resources.
You mentioned that during that conference, there was a resolution to set up a consortium like that will serve to protect areas which have been declared as a natural protected areas. What are some of the resolutions that resolved in that meeting at that time that led to the establishment of this alliance?
Yeah, for the first time, what we came to realize was that regardless of where we come from, as the indigenous peoples and local communities, we face the same conservation-related challenges. And some of the challenges that were highlighted during that Congress in 2022 was one, that conservation as practiced today is anti-people and tends to separate people from nature. And yet the people are nature itself. The second one is that we made a call on governments to shift from what is known as fortress conservation, the one that seeks to separate people from nature, to one that is inclusive and progressive, that embraces people and that delivers benefits for people. Then there was also a resolution to call for corrective land and resource rights. As you will be aware, almost all African countries do not have secure land tenure. So basically, wherever we are, from whichever country you come from, most of the time, indigenous peoples and local communities live on land for which they do not have legal title, which means essentially we are squatters on our own ancestral land. So the resolution that we made there is that across Africa, we need to work with governments and the donors and other policymakers to move towards a situation where local people, indigenous peoples and local communities have secure land and resource rights, whether collective or individual. The current situation is unsustainable. It's unsustainable because people will not conserve that which they do not own. So secure land and resource rights is probably the best pathway towards sustainable conservation and climate action. So that was one area. Then we also called on governments across Africa to put in measures or to create a compensation fund for people that are affected by what we call human-wildlife conflict. Our people live near or with dangerous wild animals, elephants, lions, leopards, hippos, crocodiles, and the mere fact that they live close to these dangerous animals, there are times when these animals attack our people, they kill people, and they leave orphans behind, they leave widows behind, and the people are injured, crops are damaged and destroyed. At the end of the day, systematically across Africa, except for a few selected countries, most countries have laws in place, I would call them colonial laws, that do not provide for compensation for damages and loss of life like this one.
Okay, so again, before we start to look at the conference or talk about the conference, when you talk about protected areas, from your own view, what do you describe as protected areas?
Protected areas are, I would say, in mainly two dimensions. We have what we call community conserved areas or indigenous conserved areas. These are areas that are not state protected areas, but have been conserved for millennia, for years and years, by indigenous peoples and local communities, and they serve a conservation purpose. That is one category. In some areas, they are known as ICCAs. In others, they are known as conservancies. And then the second category is what is common. This is what is known as state protected areas, whether they are national parks, game reserves, or forest reserves. So that is the second category. They are strictly managed by governments. Unfortunately, most of these protected areas were created by evicting people and dispossessing people of their land and their resources. So there are these two categories of protected areas.
So what is your key area of focus? Is it about protecting the land, or is it about people who have been evicted or taken away from their land?
Our focus is to ensure that conservation, whether it is community conservation or it's protected area conservation, the bottom line is it must benefit people. It must respect the rights of indigenous people and local communities. So that's our bottom line.
Okay, continue to stay with me in the program La Midday Show, and they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. In name na Mali Dadi Langa, and in the chairman for ICA. We did also for talk about one conference where they carry on now in Freetown, where they talk about the conservation of land and other areas in Africa. The program La Midday Show, and they come over to me other studio guest where na Julius Sinatra Kamara, where na the executive coordinator for Network for Community Development and Human Rights. And then at the studio for talk about the 25th anniversary celebration of the British SAS rescue mission against the West Side Boys in Sierra Leone. Una na Network for Community Development and Human Rights. What's in this body about?
Well, it's a community-based organization and a civil society to work on issues around conflict resolution, peace building, human rights, education, anything they lead towards community development. The organization they work towards that.
Okay, so you talk about conflict resolution
and peace building.
Which areas the more actually focus on?
Well, in the area of like communities conflict resolution, you don't work on that several times, even towards national development conflicts. Well, at least we participate, not openly. Also, we to say there is an effective need. Also, we to say it don't be beyond people they reach. We to see as there is a need. Way about life one lost or life don't lost, they will go inside, try for dissolve.
Okay. You don't know the studio for talk about the 25th anniversary celebration of the British SAS rescue mission against the West Side Boys in Sierra Leone. For listeners, it came for refresh your minds back. Waiting bring about this celebration.
Well, 2000, the year 2000, we get a group in this country called the West Side Boys, famous and deadly gang group. We just after the Leone Peace Accord, the 7th of July 1999, we they try for gain a territory. You know, so where they say ceasefire, they don't sign an agreement. Some group then can, some faction can decide for violate the ceasefire. So many will get more territory at the end of the day. So based upon this, the remnants of the other factions then come together, then form themselves and call themselves the West Side Boys or the West Side Niggers. So they made it along the Mashaka and Freetown Highway, what would they call Okro Hill. So they made it and base the any vehicle they come from the provinces they can at the city, then they attack. Pull the people them, take them, food them, everything, them money, their belongings. If they get locked, then left the vehicle, it go. If not get locked, and they kill, capture them, carry them, go to them base so they get to the berry banner and the other side. So based upon that, the British troops, just after before the January 6 invasion, where the rebellion marched into Freetown, January 6, from the 29th of December now, from it up January 6, 1999, the British troops, British government, High Commissioner and the British government, they engage all the citizens they get now, the British citizens, they made them try to evacuate there. Because the tension will also mount down to the extent that every citizen, everybody is afraid. The world, people, the way to say, gets people in this country, the world powers then. They say, well, all the citizens who are going to and Sierra Leone, Lord try for evacuate them, especially British people. So the team come observe, then finally for say, yes, indeed. The threat for me, the rebel, enter inside Freetown and not great again, very slim. So the best thing, okay, Lord, there's a need for local evacuate with people out of Sierra Leone. Okay, then come, they begin with evacuation. But what you see on the ground is different. So the best thing, we go try for change with formation. It is said not only now for come evacuate with citizens, then, but what, Lord make sure we try for restore peace. Because ECOMOG and the other factions in the country, with our West African bodies, they don't try. But I see there's a need for Lord collaborate with them, Lord restore total peace in this country. That in there, they don't sign the peace accord. We'll try for going to reintegration. Disarmament, reintegration, and resettlement. We not been there. The West Side Boys, they gang up. Let me say, renegade groups of, I don't know what we call it, but say soldiers, renegade group of factions, they come together, then another Okro Hill and call themselves the West Side Boys. So at the end of the day, British, this rescue mission not done, this evacuation team done, mission not done, then so the best thing, Lord will try for collaborate with the government of the day and see how best way for restore peace in line with other factions. Based upon that now, Lord we work on this. But these guys and then at the west and at the Okro Hills, then they disturb people there, attack vehicles, and the country don't get cut off. And from 6 Mile, they go at the two borders in Sierra Leone, between Guinea and Liberia, all rebel territories there. So based upon this, they say, well, the best we can do now, we'll make sure we negotiate with them guys there at the west side, Okro Hills. We'll make peace. At least we get a general peace in the country. But they don't agree.
So what's happening?
Now this British troops then come, they extend now the mandates now as well. Instead they come for kind of evacuation, then they stay now for work alongside the government forces, the Australian government and the West African Intervention Force, so they called ECOMOG. Based upon this now they say, well, how is the situation on there now? We get with him now, we get for the advice, and this military team within now, if for reform the military, Australian military, for reform and even to the police, that they don't begin reform the police, keep Bidu none of the head of the police, then they. Based upon this now, then soldiers and they patrol. But unfortunately for them, these British troops, unfortunately for them, then go to the West Side territory, then get for arrest 11 of them. When they arrest them, Then they now they camp na Okro Hills, then begin negotiate. The Shalom government now, the British government, the High Commissioner, they begin work on that. But within that process, they get for release 12. 6. It left 5. So based upon this 5 we left now, the only way they release now, what they can, they explain the ordeals, including one Sierra Leone may call that thing they be Lieutenant Musa. And we deal with them. Now in the tell them, say this way they go so, now a danger zone. Not we return back and they say no. They need for check on the well-being of the humanitarian people within that confinement day, that community day. Then go fall into the ambush of the territory of the West Side Boys. So where they released now, where they can they explain the ordeals, how they within at the camp with the West Side Boys. Then they continue the negotiation. But then see say the life of them balance British troops there, they get problem. Then we get problem at the end of the day. So they send a team where they come for 150 them they Senegal. Then can arrange for do this rescue mission. And then one the 10th of September 2000.
So you don't get a brief background as to what you bring about this day. They celebrate the 25th anniversary of this day. One, is it not the first time days when they plan for celebrate this day?
Most definitely. We just try for draw the public attention for see. We get peace, we get relative peace to the country, and that there are factors that we're responsible for all getting in this country. And that anything we get within ourselves in this country, we'll solve amicably, then we will result to anything we could disturb the peace of this country.
So the question is, one would say the war done, but some years back, and this now be something will be happen occur here, not entirely in the country. So why the celebration?
Fine. You see, for anything we do in this world, let's say give unto Caesar, to God and to God. You understand? The British then try at that particular moment because we did try for draw the public attention for say so thing we don't happen 25 years back, and this is a very important. Lord no say. At the end of the day, anything they do now, Lord reflect for say peace is paramount, peace important, and peace for ensure for say we deal with it ourselves. Now, you go there, ask the question. Yes, indeed. Those people they can sacrifice their life at that particular moment because the West Side Boys we get a total cut off. For me, you left here, see the go Mashaka. It take the grace of God. During the days when we get the order, they say we will go upline. First we get convoy. If not during that convoy, they for go to upline, no safe. Okay. You understand? So now, likewise, the West Side we don't sign the peace agreement or peace accord. We don't try for galvanize. Don't try for work on the disarmament process. But at the end of the day, West Side can we get a total cut off. Everybody they wondering. Food inflation will take place at the country now the city now. Anything they buy, it double the price what they buy before because vehicle they go upline, vehicle they cannot return. So based upon our survey, there is a need. If this year happen, there is a need for we could make sure 25 years back. Don't reflect. We might not go back to history. See well, we get common troops there. We get the defense forces.
Because
we get
the different groups we come for CC, they fight along for like the country gets peace. But una already focus on the British troops them will be rescue their fellow soldiers them now occur ill along the Mashaka Highway.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Celebrate all the others them as well. We contribute, especially we own military men them we actually fight the war for CC the war comes an end.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you know this parable in put by Creole and put by English. You say who laugh last and then for me back. Laugh the best, not so. The SAS then just can polish everything, you understand. But that operation, in order for ever successful without the intervention or the collaboration of the SLA or the Republic Armed Forces, you understand. In fact, they work in line with there for make sure say as a terrain, you understand. Why would we portray no more say the SAS? Because without the government forces or Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leone army, the SAS not forever get even a entry point for me to rescue them borders them. You understand? Why we just make, because no for say, when we start with the British, naturally they spill down to the other areas. They make us say, we get a lot of actions in the we get the civil defense forces, we get the ECOMOG, those all them people, all them play them parts for make them that rescue mission become extremely, not even successful, but extremely successful.
Okay.
You understand?
Continue for the with me now the program. In name na Julius Sinatra Kamara and in the executive coordinator for Network for Community Development and Human Rights as he did in the studio. But talk about the 25th anniversary celebration of the British SAS rescue mission against the West Side Boys na Salon. Come over to me other studio guest with Mali Dadi Langa. Chairman, Alliance for Indigenous Peoples and Local Communities for Conservation in Africa. Mali Dadi, you guys are in Freetown to organize a conference which has to look at the regional consultative meeting for Central Africa region and Great Apes country. Why this conference?
Yeah, actually, let me talk about the overall purpose of these meetings. We call them regional consultative meetings for a purpose. And the purpose is we are trying to provide more information about ICA. So we started in Accra, Ghana, and then we moved on to Liberia. Then we moved on to Southern Africa. South Africa, and today, since yesterday, we are in the Freetown, Sierra Leone. The reason we have brought these countries here, known as the Great Apes countries and Central African countries, is because most of them are unique in the sense that they are places where you find these great apes, the chimpanzees and the like. And then at the same time, they also encompass French or Francophone countries. So we have Republic of Congo, we have DRC, we have Rwanda, we have Burundi, they're all here. But then when you bring in the Great Apes countries, then you have countries in West Africa like Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the others, even Uganda. So the focus we're paying on these countries is really to provide information to them about ICA, and some of the people or the leaders in these countries were present in Kigali when we made the resolution to establish the Pan-African Alliance. And they are today actively involved in promoting ICA in their countries. So in Sierra Leone here, we have Friends of the Earth and the other organizations working to set up ICA structures, to promote ICA objectives and the ICA vision. And then we brought in the Francophone countries, which also happen to be Great Apes countries, for the same purpose, so that they can understand why we need the Pan-African Alliance for Indigenous Peoples and Local Communities, what its objectives are, and how they can engage in alliance activities at the regional level, as in Central Africa, West Africa, and at national level, as in Sierra Leone. So that's what we are trying to explain and getting feedback from our colleagues in these countries and Sierra Leone in particular.
Okay. This is the first time such conference is being held in Sierra Leone, and you talked about the objective of the conference. This is a 3-day conference. What are some of the things you guys have been looking at, or you are going to look at, that has to do with the environment?
Yeah, like the broader objectives, I have already outlined them in terms of conservation challenges that our people, indigenous peoples and local communities, are confronted with in conservation. So in Sierra Leone here at this particular conference, there are 3 objectives. One objective is to share more information about ICA and get feedback. When I say more information, it's about the objectives, its organization structure, its governance structure, and what we stand for. And then secondary, we want to hear more about the conservation-related issues that affect indigenous peoples and local communities in these countries. So this afternoon, the focus will be on what are the key critical issues in conservation that affect indigenous peoples and local communities in these countries, including Sierra Leone. Then at the end of the day, we will also be discussing how these countries and the region can effectively engage with ICA and how they want to organize themselves as members of the Pan-African Alliance. So these are some of the things that we will be looking at.
Before coming to Sierra Leone, you have been in other countries in Africa,
yes,
with similar initiative and conference and meetings. Again, let's look back at the previous meetings.
Yes.
Share to us some of the feedbacks you receive or you get from those previous meetings you held in other countries.
The first meeting was in Southern Africa, and in Southern Africa, the bottom line and the common message was that AICA was well received, and as I speak now, there is an AICA chapter in Southern Africa. It's known as Community Leaders Network, and I'm a member of that one. And then I told you we also went to Ghana, where we brought all West African countries together. That was last year in September. As I speak now, we have a West Africa AICA chapter. And then I also told you we were in Liberia 2 weeks ago. As I speak now, Liberia has got an AICA chapter, and some of the Liberia members are also here to support their friends in Sierra Leone. So generally, AICA has been well received as a platform, as a legitimate platform through which indigenous peoples or local communities in Africa can be represented and can be at the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue to stay with me in the program. In name Malidada Langa, and in the chairman for the ICA steering committee, where they presently in a salon also at the old 3 days conference on things that we go for do with the organization as well as the environment. Continue for with me in the program. Inside the program, we look at another issue. Inside the deputy minister one by the Ministry of Finance, Kadiatu Ali say the new medium-term debt strategy where the ministry they develop now go guide government how for use money them way then can learn from donor international partner them we go reduce cost and risks now the country debt portfolio. They talk this inside 15-day engagement where the public debt management division at the Ministry of Finance hold for look inside the medium-term debt strategy for 2025 to 2029. I'll be part of this engagement and put these reports together. The medium-term debt strategy na document wey dey guide how government for use money dem wey dem can learn from donor and international partner dem, and this document dey help for balance the cost, risks, and ensure say government use dem money dem here for develop different area dem. Inside 2019, Salombe developed the medium-term debt strategy wey World Bank and IMF bin support, and the reason na for manage a plenty couple wey government can learn for use na different area where they in line with the country microeconomic space. Because of the current global challenge, make the Ministry of Finance the meets now with stakeholder them and the financial sector for update the country medium-term debt strategy for say this strategy meets international standard. Where it talk, the Director of Public Debt Management Division and the Ministry of Finance, Matthew Sandy, explain more about the importance of this meeting.
So the medium-term debt strategy of the government of Sierra Leone is the tool that government uses to manage the costs and the risk of the existing debt portfolio of the country. So to do that, we have a particular framework that we agree with international partners, including the World Bank and the IMF, to update our debt stock. And so the last time we did it was in 2023 when we used the debt stock cutoff point for 2022, and then we did the projections going forward.
The Director of Public Debt Management Division and the Ministry of Finance talk about the team them when they go discuss inside this meeting.
So we now develop a strategy over the next 5 years on how to reduce that cost and how to reduce that risk. For the next days, we'll be looking at first how we performed in the previous MTDS. Okay, so we look at the previous MTDS, what was the composition, and then we update it with the new data. So we have already updated the macro assumptions, which will form the new baseline that we are going to discuss with the IMF. So once we update all of those in the framework, it will now give us a baseline of the different strategies that we can calibrate. So we can do the baseline assumption, or we can do 3 more calibrations based on how we want the cost structure of the debt to be managed. So for instance, we can assume that we want to go for more medium to long-term bonds. In fact, that is what the debt stock is actually. Governments have been taking more short-term instruments, more treasury bills. But if you want to manage the debt stock, you have to go for more medium to long-term bonds. And we have to let the market mature to that. In particular, the banks that we work with, and also the discount houses, as well as NASITs, and even individuals. So we have to get that approach in terms of our debt management to go more to the medium to long end.
Inside in your talk, the Deputy Minister one at the Ministry of Finance, Kadiatu Ali, talk about the change with the medium-term debt strategy don't bring in at the country financial sector.
Today, we reaffirm our commitment to debt transparency, responsible public finance, economic resilience, and long-term prosperity for our beloved Sierra Leone. The original medium-term debt strategy was approved by Cabinet in 2023. That strategy laid the foundation for a more disciplined, transparent, and forward-looking approach to public debt management. It was a bold step towards ensuring that every Leone borrowed serves the people through investments in agriculture, in education, in healthcare, infrastructure, and livelihood. However, as any good strategy, it must evolve with time. Since 2023, Sierra Leone has made remarkable progress in macroeconomic stability in recent years. Inflation has declined significantly, reaching single digits with a year-on-year rate of 6.45% in July of 2025. Our exchange rate has remained stable, appreciating a little in 2024 and depreciating by only 1% so far in 2025.
Kadiatu Ali go before for talk about waiting the one for see inside the new medium-term debt strategy. We go day from 2025 to 2029.
The new strategy will reflect our improved macroeconomic environment and recalibrate 4 options in our borrowing approach to reduce the cost and risk of our debt portfolio with a cutoff date of end December 2024 and propose the best strategy to achieve our debt management objectives set out in the Public Debt Management Act of 2011. It would support our decision as government on how best to manage our debt and to take advantage of long-term instruments. We are continuing to reduce reliance on short-term treasury bills and increasing the issuance of medium to long-term bonds. This shift will help us manage our refinancing, re-stabilize debt service costs, and create more fiscal space for development and sustainable economic transformation.
The Deputy Minister one at the Ministry of Finance, Kadiatu Ali, end up for assure partner them at this meeting say government go implement the thing them we go there inside this strategy. For the Society for Radio Democracy, Adeyemi Jackson, the report. The program now media show and they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. Inside the program, I still get the studio guest then. We na Mali Dadi Langa, we na the chairman for ICA steering committee as in a salon for all a 3-day conference on the organization as well as on the issue of conservation in Africa, and also with Julius Sinatra Kamara, we are the executive coordinator for Network for Community Development and Human Rights. Julius, today the SAS Day, not today. What's in this? How Sierra Leoneans therefore always remember this day?
Sierra Leoneans for remember this day as it say, not a day where we made a cutoff, a standstill between the city and the provinces or the provincial towards business line, travel line, anything we think to say for bring peace, we get a cutoff between the city and the provinces, wherein because of the involvement of the SAS for rescue them brothers in at the hands of the rebels or the West Side boys, make this day for the always the member for say September 10. And be a 10 and be a day when the British troops then come rescue them balanced brothers where the West Side boys then be captured or they be kidnapped na Okro Hill. From that day, at least we'll not ever get a gunshot again in this country. We are free to say we pack with things from one house, from one place to another. We always ask ourselves, say, waiting get for happen the next day. Also will get for go. Waiting get for happen the next day. That question will not get for action again because we know say that particular problem we get in that area day we don't solve. Now, a day we for always remember for say yes indeed. So there's a day, people them day where they can rescue. Some troublesome gang where they disturb the peace of this country.
Okay. Again, you also did at the studio for talk about the International Peace Day. Yeah. When this day?
International Peace Day. In fact, by right, according to the Salon, thinking last year, September na a peace day in this country. I don't know why the other peace loving organization and not pick up no more. But we, since we stepped up our peace business, we pick up. Last year they may pull a press release to them again for tell we say September, the whole of September last year, and be a peace day, and be a peace month. I mean, through the Peace Commission, and so based upon that, we take an say from the 1st of September to the end of September, na a peace month na Sierra Leone. Come back to September, to International Peace Day, na September 21st, and this year I get for fall on Sunday. So by Monday, before that week, before the day save, at least we'll try to do things for draw the people attention for say we get International Peace Day when a World Peace Day for everybody in this world here, and that will for make sure say everybody they at peace with a neighbor and any way find yourself peace na paramount and peace for be ensured. So International Peace Day they come the 21st of this month when na September 21st.
And how will I plan for celebrating this?
Well, they plan for draw the attention of the public. Say that day is very important. If God can be outside, we want to get a press conference towards that. Inform. We'll narrow down the theme of the United Nations on International Peace Day to Sierra Leone context. Then from then now we'll take kind of schools, kind of the radio stations, kind of television, inform the public for say yes. Peace then are the answer to anything so far. We don't need anything so far we could disturb the peace in society and the country.
Okay, continue for the with me the program. In name Julius Sinatra Kamara, Executive Coordinator for Network for Community Development and Human Rights. I come over to my other studio guests. We are Mali Dada, we are Chairman for the ICA Steering Committee. The conference is ongoing. What do you hope to achieve at the end of the 3-day conference?
Number one, we want our partners in Sierra Leone and the other Great Apes countries to fully understand about ICA, why it was established, its objectives, its governance structures, and how these countries can participate in ICA activities. Then number two, we want to leave Sierra Leone with a clear roadmap, both for the Great Apes countries, Central Africa, some of them are in East Africa, some in West Africa, to ensure they have a clear roadmap in terms of how they are going to organize themselves to engage with ICA and to promote ICA chapters in their countries, and to work with governments, with donors, and with international development partners on key development challenges that affect indigenous peoples and local communities in these countries, including Sierra Leone.
Okay. Is it that at the end of the day, you're going to have a kind of chapter here in Sierra Leone that will coordinate the activities of ICA?
Yeah, that is the ultimate objective. So we are hoping that after thorough discussion, after looking at all the issues that will be discussed today, we are hoping that tomorrow, by the end of the day, they will have reached a consensus that they need an AICA chapter in Sierra Leone to better engage with AICA and the other conservation actors.
So you have been having meetings, similar meetings like this one. How have you been engaging government of these countries on some of your activities plan, and what has been your concern with regard protecting the environment?
Yeah, actually, the starting point is that AICA and indeed our partners in Sierra Leone and other countries would not have been there if there were no conducive policy and legal frameworks. So the starting point is a country must have these conducive policy and legal frameworks, which allows indigenous peoples and local communities to self-organize and to participate in the conservation activities. Now, with that as a point of departure, it also means that we have to engage with governments in all our countries, because we work within existing policy and legal frameworks in all the natural resource sectors, whether it is wildlife, whether it is marine and coastal areas, whether it is forest and fisheries. We work with relevant sectors within relevant legal and policy frameworks, and together we are able to identify issues that affect the local communities and indigenous peoples. I talked about APAC, where AICA was born. APAC was actually a congress of protected areas. These are state protected areas, which meant that it was heavily, actually it was organized by governments. Us as communities and indigenous peoples, we were invited to that congress in Kigali. So in short, yes, each and every country works within existing rules and policies, laws and policies. At the same time, in all our work, we also engage very closely with governments. Let me also mention that at APAC, 2 platforms were born. On the community side, we had the AICA. AICA was born on the indigenous, on the IPLC side. On the government side, the protected area directors also established what they called APAD. So APAD is a platform for directors of protected areas across Africa, where they also engage with conservation issues. So the fact that 2 platforms were born out of APAC means that the government directors and us as communities, we are working on the same conservation issues, except we look at them from the community perspective, while our colleagues on government look at them from the government perspective.
Okay. Today is day 2 of the conference being held in Sierra Leone. So far, what are some of the things they have told you with regard the issue of conservation in Sierra Leone?
Yesterday, we were privileged to have government officials from Ministry of Environment, and also to have representatives from the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. So these 2 important officials, particularly the government side, yesterday they provided affirmation that Sierra Leone has got conducive and supportive policies for indigenous peoples and local communities to self-organize and support government in the conservation of nature. That was one part. The second part is that as the AICA Secretariat, we also provided information in terms of why we need AICA, what its objectives are, and how it is organized. So these were the topics that were tackled yesterday. We got information and assurance from government about this policy space that exists in Sierra Leone for communities to participate in conservation and benefit from conservation. And then we also provided information about ICA.
Okay. Continue to stay with me in the program. In name Namali Dadi Langa and in the chairman for ICA steering committee. I come over to my other studio guest with Julius Sinatra Kamara, executive coordinator, Network for Community Development and Human Rights. Not only work around issues we care for do with peace, dispute resolutions and other things. Your organization, which one make up of the issue, Nayenga?
Thank you very much. For Yenga, what they call on the government and other apparatus, they're hopeful to say they're responsible for bringing peace to the regions and at the sub-regions, including the MRU. We know work on it effectively because, like me, I don't go to Yenga. 3 good years I go there continuously. I go there 2017, 2018, 2019. I know Yenga very well. I say, but it's like, for now, I they talk to me somebody outside, and they call on the government of Sierra Leone and the other bodies that are responsible. We now want faith in this country, and at this country, as a peace-loving organization, we want peace in this country. We will go into war with neighboring countries. There is no need. We don't go through war. We're not in a war. Guinea not go through war. They're not in a war. So we no want war. Now peace we want. Anything we fit to say we're responsible for local go restore peace between we and the Guineans. At least the government of Sierra Leone. And as the president who will get in the country, when at the head of chairman for ECOWAS, may he try, may he fire on both cylinders, and he might he get, Lord try to resolve the issue of Yenga peacefully, and let all trade activities or all other peaceful activities continue at the border between the people of Sierra Leone and the people of Guinea.
Okay, apart from the issue of Yenga, Amrobi don't become a concern. Na the country. We see recently what happened na Body Street, also allegation that some unknown people go and kill a particular father, way within us, and other areas as well where the issue of armed robbery don't become a concern. What's on take on that?
Well, we say we work on that. Now make we can we draw the attention of the public and the media for see all the effort of international bodies they don't bring come. We don't put in place, don't put together for to get peace in this country. Yeah. They will have issue they get with you, say, we'll try for solve them. Now, the armed robbery happen, it's unfortunate to be candid. They are really, really unfortunate. It's a life then they go, properties then they go. May they call on the security sectors and His Excellency the President. I can remember this thing happened back the days of Anes by Kroma government. Where a policeman, them one gun down a honorable, but the security officer made inside, na him unfortunate them a killer. It happened at Model Junction, where they gun down a police officer. Instantly, the president invoked the Mark P. We are at the end of the day, what they mean do is stabilize that criminality in the country. Now, me they call on the president and the other apparatus, including the Ministry of Internal Affairs and other well-meaning wishes, where they around the security sectors, may they invoke Mark P, make it not only be now outside it happen, maybe may spread out the entire country. Because if they do a free tongue here, then criminals in it, then they migrate on other parts of the country. May they spread them right across the country. So at the end of the day, the peaceful we call for, we will enjoy. We continue for enjoy. So at the end of the day, we go now. Also, we sleep. We either open, then we sleep. We are one eye open. We wonder what will go up on the next day.
Okay, Marvelous, plenty thank you to you for where you take your time for being part of the program today. In name na Julius Sinatra Kamara and Ina, the executive coordinator for Network for Community Development and Human Rights. We'll go find them. We'll go bring you back to the studio. We can talk about the International Peace Day. We go happen on the 21st of this month, when a Sunday. I come over to the other studio guest with Malidada Langa, Chairman Steering Committee for ICA. As we are rounding up, what will be your message to government apparatus, institutions working around issue of conservations. What will be your message to them?
Yeah, my first message is to thank the government for providing the policy space to allow our communities across Africa to participate in conservation and benefit from conservation and the natural resources that they conserve. My second message is to appeal to indigenous peoples and local community organizations, whether in Sierra Leone or all over Africa, that we need to work together to share experiences across the continent and push for what we want together. Because as they say, united we stand, or united we are stronger, divided we fall because we are weaker. So AICA is a call to indigenous peoples and local communities across Africa to have one collective vision for conservation, one collective vision for their prosperity by benefiting from these natural resources. So that is our call to government and also to our members of indigenous peoples and local communities across the continent.
I want to say thank you for taking time off from your busy schedule to be part of the program today, and we wish you good luck in your conference.
Thank you so much.
Okay. In name na Mali Dada Langa and in the chairman for AICA steering committee as the day na salon for all the 3-day conference where they carry on right and freedom on the issue of the organization and things that we get for do with conservation. And I need to understand that you are from Malawi.
Yes, I'm from Malawi.
And you are feeling the joy and the goodness of Sierra Leone.
Of course, when I landed yesterday, I was very, very happy to be here. Very happy. And I enjoyed the boat ride, the sea coach.
And what about the food?
The food is good. I had some fish known as the snapper,
Yeah.
a grilled snapper, very nice.
What about cassava leaf, the jollof rice?
No, I tried the plantain and the fish.
And you need to try our own cassava leaf, and you will enjoy it.
Yeah, today I will ask for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll ask for that.
Thank you very much for coming. Well, now we go bring down the curtain for today's edition of the program. Midday show. Plenty thank you to my producer, Sabti Kalon, and also plenty thank you to DJ Lulu for technical support, Fatmata Samura, and Alaji Jallo. We make us live now on Facebook page.